Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. We have some Druid cards for Into the Emerald Dream to review. Starting off, we have Symbiosis. One mana to discover a choose one card from another class. Nature. So these choose ones are going to be all the ones from this set. None of them really blown me away so far, so I feel like this is a bit meh. Might just need it for some nature adding because Druid has a build around nature spells set here with Hamul Rune Totem, 5 mana, 5/6. Start of game, if each spell on your deck is nature, imbue your hero power. Repeat this every 2 spells you play. So you really want to be playing a bunch of nature spells, and they have to be nature because it only works if they're nature. What is Druid's imbue? Blessing of the Golem. Summon a 1/1 plant golem, an even bigger green man. So every time you imbue, the numbers on this go up. So it'll be a 2/2, then a 3/3, 4/4, etc. every time you imbue. There are some neutral cards to imbue, but mostly you're going to be wanting playing a bunch of nature spells as well to do it. So anything that says nature, which is all the spells actually from this set, has some added value. Is this one worth the cut? I'm not so sure. You can see any of the choose ones. Spells from other classes. This one, it's not a nature spell. This one's not a nature spell. So this one is. So I guess there's some added value there, but for the most part they're not. And also I feel like they're not that strong. So you're playing like a 1-mana tax on the card. Find a spell, and the ones you get aren't really that good. And there's no like synergies for playing cards from other classes and Druids, so I think this one probably won't see a lot of play. As for Hamul, he's obviously a very strong build around card. Most of Druid's cards are nature. Their spells, you got Innovate, stuff like that, which are going to be very good for juicing this thing up. We got this card. There's also some synergy. 3 mana, 3/3 Battlecry and Death Rattle. Your next hero power costs 0. So this is a great way for getting out these golems nice and cheap. At its baseline, if you've played the 5-drop in your deck, this is going to be a 3/3 that summons a 1/1, and then when it dies, you can summon another 1/1 for free. That's not too bad, but obviously you're going to juice it up a bit more and make it a little bit stronger. So seems like a solid 3-drop for the deck. Next we have Horn of Plenty. This is a 2-mana nature spell. Discover a nature spell. It costs 2 less. Now this is one of the best ways to juice up your hero power. It is basically Primordial Glyph that always finds a nature spell, which is pretty good. There are a couple like on-curve great ways to play with this. There's this upcoming card, Ward of Earth, which is a 5-mana nature spell. This would be 3 mana after Horn of Plenty, so you've got 2 into 3 curve. There is also Flipper Friends returning to the core set, which is another 5-mana nature spell, which again is going to be pretty good on turn 3. I think this card's pretty strong. There are some other synergies down the line from this set that we're going to talk about a bit later, but in terms of just being a general all-purpose card and nature spell juicer, it's pretty good, I think. Primordial Glyph and Mage is not too bad of a card, and this has got like some additional synergies behind it, so I think it should be pretty decent. Next we have Reforestation. It's a 2-mana choose one spell. Draw a spell or draw a minion. Hold this for 3 turns to do both. This just seems like really bad, I think. It's neither of the original effects, draw a spell, draw a minion, are really worth 2 mana. You have to hold it for 3 turns to do both. Compared to Frost Lotus Seedling, which is in standard now, the payoff for doing both isn't really that high compared to the Seedling. This gains you 10 armor, 3 mana, and draws 2 cards. This one, you get 2 mana, basically draw 2 cards, but that's it. And you have to hold it for 3 turns. So are we keeping this in the mulligan so that we can do this effect? I don't feel as great about doing that as I did doing it with the Frost Lotus Seedling. you don't have like that 10 armor to recover your tempo loss. It doesn't give you that safety net. Instead, you just draw 2 for 2 mana, which in 2025 Hearthstone is honestly not that crazy. So it seems a little weak to me. The only reason to play this would be to pad out your nature spells for the a more rune totem, but even then I'm not too excited about it. This might be something we just decide we don't want to play. There are some like tutor aspects for it, like if you really want to play a deck with very few minions, you can use this to tutor them potentially. But other than that, I doubt it's particularly good. Next we have Photosynthesis. This is 3 mana spell, restore 6 health, get 3 random druid spells. This is also a nature spell. Most of the druid spells you get are actually going to be nature. The ones left over in standard. And obviously this one as well. So potentially a lot of ways to juice up your hero power. It gives you some healing as well. It's a little slow, but a lot of value. If you really want to be juicing with the guy, you can maybe play this spell. I think it's okay. I think it's better than this reforestation just because it gives you so much value on its own that it might be fine. You gotta remember now, guys, that Druid is actually losing a lot of its ramp with the rotation. It only really has access to new heights now and innovate, so they're not going to have a crazy amount of mana as they used to have. So some of these cards you might think, oh, I'm a druid, I have 20 mana all the time. It doesn't matter that we're spending so much mana on this, but I think it does matter a little bit. But this one, just for the pure value, might see a bit of play. Alright, next we have Ward of Earth. We saw this card already, but it's a 5 mana nature spell. Gain 5 armor, summon a random 5+ minion, and give it taunt. So basically looking at like a shield maiden. I think overall you're probably going to get worse stats than a shield maiden on average, but there are a few high rolls you can get. Like a 10-10 rush, for example, would be crazy. There is no solar eclipse for this. So in the past we had like Cenarian Ward, which was an 8 mana version of this card basically. That was only really good because you could solar eclipse it. If solar eclipse was around, this would be really solid too, but it's not. So it seems like a bit weak, I would say. Again, the only reason to play it really would be to juice this up. I don't imagine it's going to see too much play in other decks. I think if you're looking for like a 5-drop gain armor and stuff, you actually probably want to go into the neutrals. Where is it? This one. Ancient of Yore. Dormant for 2 turns, gain 5 armor at the end of the turn. I think this one is probably a bit stronger overall. Draws you a card and gains you more armor overall. You just don't get the minion straight away. Alright, next up we have the Evergreen Stag. 6 mana elusive lifesteal taunt beast. 6 mana 6/7 is the Ogre. Ogre stats. To me it feels really weird seeing a class card with just keywords on it. If this feels like the kind of card you'd see like, I don't know, 8 years ago. How good is this though? Elusive lifesteal taunt. A bit annoying to get free. Basically have to trade it. That's not too bad. Doesn't have rush though. There are some synergies. I think the main good synergy is really Ortolan Traveler. Draw another 12 minion, reduce its cost by 2. So you can basically curve into this. Will be 4 mana after your Traveler dies. Not too bad. But I think this is a bit overshadowed right now from Arcanite Defense Crystal. Maybe the Defense Crystal is going to get nerfed before the rotation, but as of now, I feel like you'd just rather play the Defense Crystal. It also lets you play that 4 mana spell that pulls a minion out of your deck for 4 or less, whereas this doesn't let you do that. Resing this with Hydration Station is only okay. It doesn't have rush. It just seems like an okay card, but probably got better options. Alright, next we have Grove Shaper. 5 mana, 3/6. After you cast a nature spell, summon a 2/2 treant with Death Rattle, get a copy of that spell. This is a really high value minion if you can pop off with it. Summons a bunch of board, and then you get all your spells back. Has potentially great synergy with Horn of Plenty if you can fit that in on the same turn. This is going to allow you to play a bunch of nature spells at the same time, and then you get them all back at the end. You have access to things like Innovate still in Standard. It's going to be kind of hard to do this on curve, but maybe turn 6 or 7, you have access to enough mana to be able to basically spam all your things. There's also Overgrown Beanstalk still in Standard. It's a lot of mana to play this at the end of your chain with this card, but you could potentially draw a bunch of cards while summoning a board. Some of the other treant synergies are rotating. Cultivation's like the main one. This one is actually going away, which would have been a very nice payoff once you've done all your other stuff. But overall, this is potentially a very, very strong card if you could build around it. I like it a lot. I think it has a lot of potential. A lot of high value, a lot of tempo. Seems pretty decent. Finally, we have Forest Lord Cenarius. Choose thrice. Give your other minions +1/+3 or summon a 5/5 Ancient with Taunt. So 10 mana is a lot. You are a druid, so you can ramp. But actually, you can't really ramp that much. Most of Druid's ramp cards are actually rotating. The only ones they're going to be left with are New Heights, Innovate, and Trail Mix. Actually, all the others are rotating. This is going. The gift's going, so you're not going to get Wild Growth from that. And also, like, Flower Child's going, so it's kind of a card where you want to be able to draw your big thing and discount a bit. That's not going to happen either. So I think Cenarius, while it's not a bad effect, potentially buff your board a bunch. If you haven't got a board, make a board. That's not too bad. The problem with it really is it's kind of hard to get to actually to 10 mana with Druid now, I think. So it probably just needs more ramp support for this to take off. It might be a case of like when ANR was first released in Titans, there wasn't actually great support for ANR. So while ANR was a crazy good card, we had to wait a little bit of time to see that, and I think that might be a similar case with Cenarius. Overall, Druid set seems to be focused around Hamul Rune Totem. There's a lot of nature spells around that. It looks quite fun. Just trying to outlast your opponent and keep summoning even bigger men. Other than that, Growth Shaper looks pretty interesting. And Horn of Plenty looked like a good card. But I think Druid, they didn't get the crazy of sets. Let me know what you guys think if you're excited to play with this class. And tell me what you think I'm overrating or underrating. I'll see you in the next video.